everybody and welcome to my channel. For today's video we're going to be doing a one brand tutorial or a full face of Fenty Beauty. Fenty Beauty is owned by the beautiful Rihanna herself. Fenty Beauty is one of those brands that I always get excited whenever they come out with new products, only because they're very inclusive. They have a lot of undertones. They cater for a lot of different people when it comes down to foundations, concealers, bronzers, powders, anything that you can think of. They try to have a product for pretty much everybody, and that's one of the reasons why I'm always very excited when they come out with new products. So for today's video we're going to be doing a full face makeup. Some of these products are things that I've loved for a very long time, and some of them are fairly new to my collection, but nonetheless they're very nice. As always, if you enjoy this type of content, consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so that you're notified every time I upload. Okay, so for primer, we're going to be talking about the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Primer. Now, this is actually my second bottle of it. This is one of those primers that if you have very oily skin or a very oily T-zone, it's really good to control your oils, and it makes your foundation last a lot longer, and it has been one of my favorites. Besides the Makeup Forever Step 1, this is definitely my second choice, so I absolutely love it. If you have dry skin, I wouldn't recommend you going with this primer, only because as soon as you apply it, you start feeling how it kind of like absorbs any moisture that you might have in your skin. So I'm only gonna grab a pump, and what I'm gonna do with this is I just like to apply it in my T-zone and in the parts where I have like a little bit of pores. I don't like to apply it all over the face or all over the skin, only because, like I said, it's very mattifying, at least in my skin type. So sometimes I find that my cheeks tend to look very dry if I happen to apply it all over the skin. I do like the fact that it gives my pores. I do notice that it kind of blurs them out a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to apply my foundation. I'm not going to be using any Fenty Beauty foundation, only because I had actually already recorded this video, which was supposed to go up last week, but I had an issue with the foundation. If I have the video already posted, I'll link it in the bottom bar or up here. Okay, so foundation is on. I use the McGrath Skin Fetish foundation. I actually have a video using, like, talking more about that foundation. And for concealer, we're going to be using the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Concealer. Now, I have mine in the shade 145. The undertone is perfect, but the color is too light. I'm just gonna apply a tiny bit. I'm gonna be blending it with my Fenty sponge. Now, this concealer says that it has full coverage. I do have to say that the concealer, it's not full coverage in my opinion. I think it has a medium coverage, and it has a very particular finish. Now, I found that you don't need to set this concealer, so if you are the type of person that likes to apply concealer and not set it, this would be perfect. I don't notice that it's too hydrating. I don't notice that it's very matte. I think it has a very natural finish. You do have to tap it, like right after you apply it, you do have to tap it a little bit to get rid of any creases that you might get. But other than that, I don't think this is very full coverage. I mean, as you saw, it does brighten because obviously the shade is way too light for me at the moment, but as far as like full coverage, I wouldn't say it is, because you are still able to see a little bit of the darkness that I have under my eye. Okay, so I'm gonna apply a little bit more. This is what the concealer looks like with 2 layers. So for contour, we're gonna be using the Fenty Beauty Match Stick in the shade Mocha. This shade is one of my favorites. It's more of a cool tone, so it's perfect for contouring. I really enjoy it. This is a cream, but it actually dries to a powder finish, which is one of the reasons why I really enjoy it, especially right now for the summertime. I find that it's very hard to get my contour to stay. It does have a drier formula, so what I will normally do is I apply it and let it sit for a little bit so it kind of warm up, and then I go and blend it. Okay, so this is how it looks once you blend it. For bronzer, and I know that I'm applying like 50 million products, but I want to show you guys as much as I can. So for bronzer, we're going to be using one of the new ones. This is the Cheeks Out Freestyle Cream Bronzer, and I have mine in the shade 03 Macchiato. I find it that is very similar to the Chanel, I believe is Soleil 10 de Chanel. I find that the formulas are very similar. The pigment, the color is just very similar. I'm gonna be applying it with the sponge. So what I normally do is just I tap and I grab some. You can definitely do it with the brush. I just prefer to do it that way. So I'm just applying the tiniest bit. As you can see, it just automatically warms up the skin, and it does give you more of that dewy finish, but it's very long lasting. I was actually quite surprised because normally more dewy products, cream products, tend to wear off pretty easily, and I didn't find that was the case with this. I really love it. Like, can you see the shine in my cheeks? Okay, and now to set all those creams, I'm gonna be applying the Fenty Beauty, and this is one of the older bronzers. This is the STALK'R Instant Warmth Bronzer, and I have mine in the shade Shady, and this is what it looks like. This is a little bit lighter than the cream Macchiato, and this is the shade Shady. I really enjoy this shade because regardless of whether it's summer or winter, I'm still able to use it. So I'm just gonna grab a fluffy brush, and I'm gonna tap and use a very tiny bit, tap of the axis, and I'm just pressing on those areas that I applied the cream, just to lock everything in place. I mean, the creams itself, they're very long wearing, but adding that extra layer of powder always helps to seal everything in place. We're going to be using the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch powder. This is one of my favorite powders. Like I said, if you have very oily skin, you need to run and get this powder. It's very smoothing. It helps control the oils. Whenever I know that I am gonna be like going to a party or that I have to wear my makeup for a very long time, this is definitely my go-to powder, because I know no matter what, this powder will keep my makeup in place for hours and hours and hours. Okay, so I'm gonna just apply a little bit in my T-zone, and I love how smoothing this powder is. Like, it just makes your skin so matte and so flawless. I'm not gonna apply this under my eye, only because, like I told you guys, the concealer itself dries pretty matte on its own, so I don't want to apply any powder because then you can look very cakey very fast, and that's not the look that I'm trying to go for. So I'm just dusting a very tiny amount just on those parts where I tend to get very oily or where I have a lot of pores, because definitely this powder is one of those powders that would smooth like anything and everything. I forgot to tell you guys, but I have mine in the shade Butter. For brows, we're going to be using the Brow MVP, and this one comes with a pencil in one side, and it has a little spoolie, kind of like a spoon, on the other side. Now I have mine in the shade Dark Brown, and this is a more cool tone brown. Okay, so this is what the brows look like. Obviously, because of the light, they look a little bit lighter. So I'm gonna apply a little bit of brow gel, and I'll be right back. Okay, so for eye primer, we're gonna be using the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Amplifying Eye Primer. Now, I have the tiny one because that's how I tried it, but I fell in love with it, so I went and bought the full size. If you really want your shadows to pop, or if you're using loose pigments or any pressed shadows, this eye primer is amazing. I find that it's the only eye primer that really helps to showcase whatever shade you are trying to apply, especially with colorful shadows. I find it that it's one of my favorites to make sure that those colors really pop and really look the color they should be. You can blend it with your fingers or with a sponge. I prefer to do it with the sponge only because it's very liquidy. Okay, and for eyes, we're going to be using the Fenty Beauty. This is the Moroccan Spice palette. And look how gorgeous this palette is. It has a lot of different colors. It has more warms, it has more cool tones. It has a very nice variety. Overall, it's a really nice palette. It works very beautiful whether you're using the Fenty Beauty eye primer or just your regular concealer. The shadows are so pigmented, so buttery. They blend like a dream. The shimmers are to die for. So I'm gonna do a quick eye look, you know, showing you guys a little bit more about this palette. But overall, I love it. I love the pigments, I love the colors, I love the shimmers. Okay, so this is what the eyes look like. You definitely would, if you happen to recreate it, you definitely apply false lashes. I just like the way that it turned out with the wing liner, and that's the reason why I'm not applying any today. Now for blush, I have two options. Fenty Beauty Match Stick in the color Chili Mango. Now this one, it's orange, but it looks very nice. It's actually, it has kind of like a sheen. But if you happen to have texture, I wouldn't recommend it, only because the sheen, it's quite like the little, I don't know if it's glitter or like little sheen particles. They're actually quite big. So if you happen to have a lot of pores or a lot of texture, it does tend to emphasize it. So that's the only downside. But other than that, the color, it's beautiful. It looks very nice. It's super long wearing. And the other option is the Cheek Style Freestyle cream blush, and I have mine in the shade 06 Daiquiri Dip. Now this is a true red strawberry type of shade. It's so pretty, and these are, although they're very small, and I've already talked about that, they're actually very pigmented, as you can see, and the color, it's beautiful. It looks so nice. I don't know if I want to do this one or the other one. Let's try it with this one. So I'm gonna grab my sponge, and I like it because it looks very dewy, but it's very natural. For highlighter, I have two Fenty Beauty Kilowatt Freestyle highlighter, and I have one in the shade Trophy Wife, and I have another one in the shade Light Dust and Fire Crystal. This one has one side that is very shimmery, and then you have another side that is not as shimmery. It's more like a very subtle highlight, but these do kind of have a little bit of an icy undertone. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the shade Light Dust. This is what Light Dust looks like. It's very subtle. It looks very pretty. I like those duos because you get one that is a lot more, you know, subtle, more toned down, and then you have the other one that has the glitter. It looks very, very shimmery. It's so pretty. So this is what the Light Dust will look like, and as you can see, it's still a very nice highlighter, but I want to apply a little bit of this, and this is the Trophy Wife. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna grab very tiny bit and then I'm just gonna dust it in the higher points of my cheeks. Now I know this highlighter is not for everybody. I get it, but I like it to mix it with other things, and I love the finish. Like, my cheeks just look wet. Now I know Fenty Beauty does have a setting spray. I have not tried that yet. So for today, I'm gonna use my ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Mist. So for the lips, I have a few options. I have gloss bombs, and I have Stunner Lip Paint in the color Uncensored. This in its time was very famous, and I still love it. This is amazing. I love it for photograph. I love it to wear out for dinner. Like, this is the go-to red lip that I would apply. And I have one of these in the shade Shady, and this is kind of like a brownish type of tone. This is actually very, very pretty. Should we try it? I think we should try it. Okay, so this is what the lipstick looks like. Obviously, this is not a color that I would typically wear, but it's actually very pretty. I'm very surprised. Definitely a color for fall, I think, for me personally. I think with a very mustard look, some really nice long lashes, this will look amazing. This is the first time I'm trying that lipstick. I've been having it for a while. Sometimes I just buy things and I forget I have them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna apply a little bit of Fuzzy on top of it. So this is what it looks like. I am very impressed of actually how much I actually like this color. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much. So this is what the makeup looks like. As you can see, it's very 90s. I actually do enjoy it, like with the brown lip, the half up, half down. But yeah, these are all the products. I definitely, my top recommendations would be the primer, the powder, the eye primer. It's one of my favorites, and definitely the eyeshadow palette. Those are, like, if you ask me for recommendations from the brand, those would be my top recommendations. But as far as everything else works beautifully except for the foundation. Don't forget to watch the video. I'll link it down below so that you could see. But yeah, let me know in the comments, what is your favorite Fenty Beauty product? I am so curious to know. There's still a lot of things that I want to try from the brand, like the little eyeshadow quads, or what is it, 6 shadows. I still want to try those. I definitely want to try the mascara. That one is also in my list, and I want to get more shades of these lipsticks because they actually feel very comfortable. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.